All right, everybody, welcome back to Tracklandia. We are live now, coming to you live from Great Notion Brewing, here in the shadow of the Northwest Hills Forest Park, Portland, Oregon. It's a beautiful day outside. We don't get them very often, but we're not experiencing that because we're inside today, here for another Ultra Trail Landia. Oh, yeah, go ahead. We didn't get as many hate mail messages as I thought we would from the last Ultra Trail Landia, too. We did a decent enough job covering the trail bases. The trail crowd wasn't as upset with us as I thought they would be, so we're doing this again. Some of you might remember that I was gifted a pair of Nike Trail Zagamas, and they were completely white last time, but I've been putting in some work out in the trails. Check that out. I recommend the white colorway because then you can show your work. It's good. We got a great show tonight. Like I said, Tyler Green is here. Round of applause. And Geof Donovan and Larry Stevens are here too to discuss the Nasties. All right. But first, well, congratulations to Rachel Drake on the Gorge Waterfalls 30K victory. And to Liam May Rowe for a runner-up finish in the 30K as well. Bashed his knee on a rock, had a trail fall, but he's going to be better for it. Nice. Let's see. We got some news and notes. Registration is now open for Portland Track Festival, so check the site, portlandtrack.com. I think we're going to have an image for that. We'll see. You can pre-order T-shirts there as well. I was going to put a slide in with the artwork for the T-shirt, but I forgot to do that. So look for that coming out pretty soon. Zach Lightoff designed the T-shirts again, and they look fantastic. We always sell out because we don't know how many to order. So this year we are doing pre-orders. So put in your pre-order before May 8th, I believe, and you'll get a T-shirt for sure. The tees are $35 because they're nice material. We went with the nice stuff this time, thanks to Matt Parker. And a Portland Track Festival ticket, as always, is $15. But if you bundle the two, ticket plus T-shirt, it's only $40. So that's the deal of the century right there. Go ahead and do that because every T-shirt and ticket that's sold goes straight back into the track and running community right here in Portland, and we love to see that because it allows us to do the kinds of things that I'm going to tell you about next, which is our Summer All-Comers series. It's been a long time in the works, but Lauren Ross is now our Summer All-Comers series commissioner, and we will have 4 meets this year, fully sanctioned, taking place at Lincoln High School in May, June, and July. And we're bringing the entire community together. So we're talking all levels here. Everybody's invited from the top to the bottom. There is no bottom. Everybody's equal here. Babies are going to be crawling on the track. Masters athletes will be running well into their 90s. It's going to be beautiful. So come out and do that. We'll hit you with dates very soon. Yeah, and we're going to keep entry costs very low. So $10 for adults, $5 for kids. We want everybody to be able to do this. This is something that Portland deserves and hasn't had. A lot of other great cities around the country have these things, and we want them here in Portland. So Lauren's making it happen. Thank you, Lauren. Right, we're going to cap each meet off with a relay, too. That was discussed. So high school style. We're very excited for that. All right, the Trackland production team will be heading down to Los Angeles for Sound Running's Track Fest, and that'll be May 11th. Yeah, May 11th. We'll be bringing you the sights and sounds from the event at Jack Kemp Stadium at Occidental College. You can buy a pay-per-view ticket and watch the meet for $6.99, and the money goes to a great cause, to production costs, of course, but also straight into the athlete purse. From what I hear, it's the best price this side of free, too. So check into doing that, trackland.com. Next week, we're taking the desk on the road, this sweet baby that we've had for 3 episodes now, and it feels like home. We're taking her on the road up to Seattle. We're going to do a Tracklandia live with the Brooks Beasts. So tune in for that. Book your flights now. Alaska has some great deals, and they have their companion fare as always. We learned recently when we were up in Seattle that in the belly of all Alaska Airlines planes is fresh seafood that they fly into around the country. So whenever you're flying an Alaska Airlines plane, just be aware that there's seafood directly beneath your feet, and it'll get to its destination within 30 hours to be fresh on the table. I'm not telling you, this isn't an ad for Alaska Airlines at all. It's just a warning that your luggage is going to smell like sockeye salmon when you get in, which isn't bad. Yeah, no, it's delicious. Boston Marathon happened 2 days ago, I believe. Yeah, there it is. That's last year's race, taken by Howard Lau. More than 30,000 people made the journey from Hopkinton to Boylston Street. Running the real game with no pacers. They're giving it to diehard fans the way that they want it right now. They dumped the rabbits in the harbor, which is the way that we like to see it out there. Sisse Lema won the men's race, splitting it like a JV boy in the 800, going out in his fastest ever recorded first half of 60:19 and finishing the second half just under 1:06, holding on. Helen O'Beary defended her win from last year in 2:22. She won Boston 2023, New York City 2023, and now Boston 2024. So always good to make winning a habit in the Olympic year, so they say. Both of them picked up $150,000 for their wins in Boston. Pretty nice payday, I think, for professional running right there. Marathons know how to do it. CJ Albertson was the first American. Pride of the Central Valley. Emma Bates was the first American, and she's got a couple of goats that are very proud at home. And I just want to take this moment to appreciate Des Linden, too, because she's always been a favorite of mine. Yeah, go ahead and clap. Go ahead and clap there. Yeah, she's a straight shooter. She tells it like it is. She's always been a big supporter and fan of the stuff that we do, so it's great to see her out there getting 16th, 2:28 again. And the stories that I love to hear about Des, too, is every racer out there who's raced against her seems to have a story about her encouraging them, whether they're passing her or she's passing them. She's giving them a good job or a let's go get this or something like that. And it's not over the top. It's just in a very Des honest way. And I love that. I think that's great. We could all use that. And Boston, I love Boston in particular because I always say we need more races with meaning in this sport, and Boston is the epitome of that. 127 years of history. Wasn't always that way. It takes time to build these things, as we know, and that's where people are always complaining about races being in Eugene all the time. And I love Eugene, and if you're complaining about it, start it in your own community. You got to do it. Build, not just for 1 year, not just for 5 years. You got to stay with it, and eventually there will be something great. You got to rally people, and when other people are doing something, you have to support them. Because that's how communities are made, and that's how great things come about. So 50 years down the line, imagine what we have here in Portland, because I'm not going to stop doing this. You're not going to stop doing this, right? I'll be old. You're going to have to wheel me in behind this sweet beauty of a desk here to do the show in 2080, whenever that is. But yeah, it makes everyone better. It makes the community better, so dig in. Don't lose hope with anything that you're building. Just make it happen. Get involved and do something special. And if you want help with Portland Track, volunteer. If you want Portland Track's help, just ask. We're here. We're always here. And it reminds me of this great quote, and somebody could tell me who it's from because I didn't look to see who it was. But a society grows when we plant trees in whose shade we will never sit. So just something for all of us to think about and be encouraged. As my daughter does a handstand over there. Yeah, life's about the struggle and the build, which is also trail running. We've got to keep Portland running. Let's do it. And now a word from our sponsor. From the makers of the PBS series Finding Your Roots comes a show that dives into the ancestry of elite-level athletes on the cusp of making U.S. Olympic teams to find their family's origin country, giving them an opportunity to represent their ancestral homeland on the sport's biggest stage, the Olympics and World Championships. We should have an image of that too. This is a deep cut. The show is going to be called Starting Lines, and it premieres only on FlowTrack spring of 2025. That was very niche. Yeah, sorry guys. That's all in good fun. Okay. Now moving on to the part of the, there we go, yeah. It's not as good as you wanted it to be. Now for the part of the show that you all came for. For those of you who don't know, Forest Park is the largest park within city limits in the United States, and we have it right here in Portland, Oregon. Yes, that's something to be proud of. Largest park and smallest park, right? What's the small park's name? Somebody said it? Mills End Park, yeah, smallest park in the world. Very cool. So there are over 100 miles of trails and fire roads that line its steep hillsides. This is Forest Park. This isn't Mills End Park. I think there's over 100 miles in there. Every time I look it up, it says like 50 to 80, but that's ridiculous because Wildwood is already like 30 miles. That takes like a third of it out right there. Amongst the local trail community, though, the Nasties are legendary routes used to train for the toughest trail races in the world. And the running public knows little about the origins of these routes. So here to help us with that is the creator of the Nasties, Geof Donovan, and his steward of the Nasties, Larry Stevens. Please welcome to the stage. All right, we've got one mic for the two of you. Hope that's okay. Move that. Yeah, you can move that trail pillow too. Okay. Nike Trail, thank you very much for, oh, that reminds me, yeah, we are giving away a pair of Zagamas at the end of this, so don't leave after the show ends. Geof, Larry, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, we need to turn that thing on, I think. There you go. And then we got to hold it up there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Larry took me on my first Nasty voyage a few weeks back, and we did the North Nasty, and we saw, Geof, we met you in the parking lot there, like you're just always out there. Geof, Larry said that you're the creator of the Nasties and that he helped and somehow create them. How did Larry help create these things, and how did you get into creating the Nasties?
Well, Larry's, I think of him as the midwife of the Nasties. You know, he helped bring birth, and when I came up with some routes, they weren't always the routes as are now. So I would, come bring them to Larry, and we would run one, and the particular iteration wouldn't work, so I'd tweak it a little bit, and then come back some more, and that's how they came to be. So it was really, I had the original ideas, and then Larry helped me not so much knock the sharp edges off as add the sharp edges, I suppose. So yeah, that's how it came to be.
Well, what are the Nasties first and foremost?
Well, they're a series of 4 routes. What do they go from, like 11 to 16 miles, Larry? And what they came from is when I originally started ultra running, I thought I'll just train in Forest Park, run in Wildwood, and that's trail race. That's a trail. So now you're fine to go train on, race on trails. And we went, I think in 2008 or 9, I went and did Waldo, and it was appalling. That's not at all like running on Wildwood. So I had to come up with some ways of training harder to start to run in the gorge, which was great. But if you're training for an early season race, like in 2010, I think I was training for Bighorn. That's in June. You can't train on the gorge much. So
it's icy out there. It
is. So that's hence coming up with the Nasties, a way of training in the winter on, horrible trails. So I would guess the spirit of the Nasties for me is trying to create purposeful unpleasantness. Like it's not just a matter of, running hill repeats. You're trying to find, getting through all the obscure parts of Forest Park, some of the beautiful trails, all of the hard ones. And that was always the purpose.
Purposeful unpleasantness.
Yeah.
I like that. And yeah, when we saw you in the parking lot, you said you wanted to bring more suffering to the world too, because there isn't enough.
I did. And I think I've succeeded in little in life, but in this I have succeeded, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Larry took us on the North Nasty, which I believe is the classic Nasty.
It's the first one. Yeah.
The first one. There's no place where you can really get into a rhythm there. You just get hit in the face over and over and over with these steep climbs.
It is unpleasant.
It is, yeah. But in the best way possible. I love being out there.
Good.
And I wanted to do it again. And I did. But yeah, afterwards was a little bruising, I think.
Yeah, it can, some of those descents in particular can be a bit rough
Yeah.
the next day.
So yeah, when did you and Larry do this? When did you get in?
Well, Larry, we talked about this. When do you think?
I think it was around 2009, 2010.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was. I started running with Geof, and he told me about the Nasties, and then we did I think we did a double Nasty that you can easily put together the North and the South, and it's doubly painful. But it was so much fun
Yeah.
in a way, and it helped me train for the 100 milers that I did, and I kept doing them. It's just something you kind of get hooked on sometimes, and I think it helped me. I mean, still run today when I'm like really old.
Yeah. Well, you're 68, but you were killing us.
I'm 67.
Well, it said six.
He's
I'm sorry.
lying.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it said 68 on your recent race result.
It did. He got my birthday wrong.
Okay. I apologize. I don't want to misage you here.
Yeah, but now I'm running. I actually ran double Nasties almost every weekend for many years, and then the pandemic hit, and then I started running flat and in circles, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
Right. Yeah. So earlier, I think two episodes ago when we all gathered here, we gave you a congratulations. You weren't here, but you had recently set the world record for your age group in 24 hours on the track, running 130 miles. Yeah.
Okay, I'll clarify a little bit.
Okay, please.
It was 127.7, I think.
Okay.
But the actual world record was for 100 miles in 16 hours and 38 minutes for my age group.
Okay.
65 to 69.
I mean, there were a bunch of records in there, though, that you knocked off.
A bunch of American records.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which are good,
only
too.
one world record.
Yeah, oh, well, yeah. Those are tougher to get, I hear.
For an age group record. Yeah, they're a little tougher. But so, I mean, with Tracklandia, I ran around the track, I think it was 513 times. So it was track.
That's big time. That's a lot of loops.
Anyways, I think the Nasties set me up for it. So I can
Okay.
thank Geof for all the pain and suffering that I went through for many years to do what I can do today.
Yeah, well, these things have caught on, and you hear about them throughout the trail running community now. When did you first realize that other people were catching on and doing these routes, and how did that come about? And
I had to tell him.
okay.
Yeah, it was peculiar because only after running them for a few years, I had various injuries and illness, and I wasn't running, trails much anymore. And then I'd keep getting together with Larry for a beer now and then, and he kept saying, "Oh, they're getting popular." But when you actually, who did we meet? Your friend who
Shane Darden.
yeah, and he said he'd run the North Nasty 50 times.
50.
And it doesn't seem, wise, but so you actually to know now that many more people are doing them is really nice. It's because the they takes you to some of the just lovely parts of Forest Park. I mean, they're steep, but you know, the Linton Trail on the Northern Nasty, it's just a lovely little bit of trail.
It's a beautiful trail.
It is.
Right near the
Yeah.
creek there.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And so just to be able to see all parts of the park, whenever I move somewhere new, so when I moved to Portland in 2002, the first thing I do is get the trail maps and then just try and work out, try and run on every mile of trail and then try and work out a way of linking them together. So it's just, that's what I've always done when I've come somewhere new, and it's helps me feel at home in a new place to run. When you're really getting familiar with the trails. And then obviously putting the Nasties together was just I don't know, it was a fun thing. And I always enjoyed them, and I felt they had a spirit, the purposeful and pleasantness stuff. And obviously it wasn't just me, because it has, worked for other people. And so they are doing them rather than just running hill repeats. And so I'm really tickled. It's really fun to know other people are doing them.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I love when routes like that catch on and spaces take on this spirit, like you said, and they become their own thing. And it's amazing that so many other people get to suffer and enjoy them.
And actually another guy that should be credited is Yassine de Boon.
Yes.
Yeah, because he definitely he was. If Larry was the midwife, then Yassine was the publicist. So he got a lot of his clients running on them early. It's difficult to imagine if somebody was paying you and you took them on one of those. You'd think it doesn't seem like the best business practice, but he really kept it up. So yeah, it was fun I ran a few times with him early on, and I have a very distinct memory of watching him walking up the BPA road in the sleet with his head down.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That was a proud moment for me.
You'd broken him.
I did.
For that moment.
Yeah, he bounces back.
In your opinion, what is the nastiest nasty?
I think it's probably the northern one, just because you have those long climbs.
Okay.
So the other ones have more climbing, but it's broken up. So the BPA road is probably the nastiest climb in all of Forest Park.
Yes.
And it's also particularly nasty. It's got this awful view down of the river, and there's the industrial area, and you're running under the power lines. So to me, that's the quintessential nasty experience, is running on a shitty day in the winter, and just flogging your way up one of those things with the fog and the rain. So yeah, I'd say the northern one.
Yeah, I told Larry that BPA probably stands for big pain in the ass.
It does. It is indeed. Yeah, And then, when you can run those trails, you're going to probably be okay wherever you go.
Yeah, I that gave me hope. When I got out
Yeah.
there, I'm like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to be really strong.
Yeah.
So I want to keep getting out there.
Yeah, I mean, it really, when I started running in the gorge and then started running there, you get, you suffer and you get sort of, it's a little humbling for a while, but it really does make a difference. It changes you.
Mm-hmm. Larry, you told us about a beer nasty. Can you tell us what that is?
There's one rule about the nasties, is that if you can change a nasty. In fact, Skyline Nasty came along, and then Skyline was a restaurant place, and a lot of people did that one. But the only rule is, a major rule is, that you can't make it easier. You always have to make it harder. And I came up with a beer nasty, which was a combination of the North Nasty and the South Nasty. And basically it was running from Skyline down to Highway 30 and back up 4 times with like 3,300 foot of climb. And at the top, you would have to drink a beer each time. And I tell you, running down the Ridge Trail after drinking 3 beers, it's wonderful.
It doesn't sound
I would
smart.
really recommend it. It's not smart. Don't ever do it. But it's really cool. But don't ever do it.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing you can do, but don't do it. That's great advice. Are there any other nasty traditions out there besides the beer nasty, or the rule about you have to make it harder?
I don't know. Not really. I mean, there is the polar extension to the northern Nasty. It's an unknown one. Remember when we did that one? There's some public land north of Forest Park,
Okay.
and I worked out a way of extending the northern Nasty into some really obscure trails over there. So north of Newbury. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a fun one. There's also a sick Nasty. That's over at OHSU. So you can, I won't tell you everybody what the route is, but you can explore that, doing up Council Crest and running on some of the trails back there. So, maybe if you like the Nasties, go in there and sort of find your own way.
Sick because of the hospital.
Indeed.
Yeah,
well,
sick
partially.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So the original 4 Nasties are
Yep. The North, the South, the Flaming, and the Alphabet.
okay, and they got their names from, North being the North.
North being North, South being South of North, Flaming because of the fire lanes.
Okay.
And then the Alphabet Nasty, there's a series of trails, alder, birch, cherry, dogwood, go up like that. So
I
I
see.
just did it from that.
Nice. Yeah. Well, beautiful. That's this is educational, and I know many
Indeed.
of the people in the crowd have run the Nasties before. How many people have run? Yeah. How many people have run Nasties?
Oh, yeah. It's peculiar to see strangers having done that, but yeah, good for you.
So we have Tyler coming on too, who
Yeah.
has the FKT on the North Nasty, I believe.
Yeah, that's that time I found upsetting.
Why? Why in particular? Because you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, it's just not. It just didn't seem like an appropriate thing to do. I mean, that's really unnecessarily fast.
Well, it sounds like nothing about the Nasties is appropriate.
Indeed.
And
yeah.
nevertheless, we'll continue to do them. But thank you both for
Not
your
at all.
contribution to Portland running.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, and world suffering. Geof Donovan and Larry Stevens, everybody. All right, before we move on to Tyler Green, we've got some trivia questions real quick because we have some beautiful Morton product that you can get your hands on and take out to the trails. So this first beauty here is a Morton gel flask. It fits 5 gels in here, and we've got 5 gels that go with it for you to take home with you out to the trails. So first question here, who holds the Portland Track Festival men's 1,500 meter record? First person to raise your hand. I heard, well, Liam, do you want to take this? You are right. So Josh Kerr owns the Stumptown Twilight record, 332. Low, or 331. 331, sorry. Yeah, but Evan Jagger owns the Portland Track Festival, 332.97. So come on up, Liam. Grab your gels. There you go. All right, next question. What professional team has the most wins in the Portland Track Festival 800 meters? Both. Lauren? No. Yes, the Beasts. You are right. All right. So you get the Morton drink flask. Sorry, not gel flask. This and a drink mix here. This is amazing. I wanted to win this one.
I know. You should have said it.
I should have. Yeah, you're right. All right. These will go for the raffle at the end of the show along with the Zagamas. But on to the next portion of our show. Our featured guest tonight was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. He has placed second twice in the Western States 100 and has set many fastest known times for routes in the region. Please welcome Nike trail athlete Tyler Green. Come on up. Yeah. Come on in, man. You can take that pillow if you want. Do whatever you want with it.
A little security pillow.
Yeah, if you'd like. Yeah. It's good to have you here. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, we had Rachel on the show 2 months ago. She did an excellent job. So we were like, we got to bring Tyler up here.
Of us as a couple, she's the likable one. She's the most likable.
Yeah, you're a bit nasty, I would say, on the subject. But yeah, how are you doing? How's everything going?
I'm
You
good. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we got track season going, training hard, getting ready for a move. So lots of big things happening, but we're all excited about them too.
Track season. So are you still coaching
I
this
am,
year?
yeah. This is the last season with the Oregon Episcopal Aardvarks. Got a good distance squad ready to go for kind of this championship portion of the season.
Is there a specific chant that the Aardvarks do on meet day?
You know, I'm a little bit disappointed by their school song. Actually, it's more of a kind of chant, and it's not like the old, like my Franklin Quakers or Franklin Lightning. Now they have like a true like school fight song.
They do.
They do.
Oh, well, I mean, we could do it if you want.
Franklin High School, Franklin High School, here's for you we play. I'll stop there.
Okay,
But
yeah,
I
that's
pointed
good.
to my uncle's here, and he was the student body president back in, right? 1940, not 18, 1942.
All right. Way to go. So you probably wrote that then. Thank
might
you.
have.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, if we're back in the crowd too, we had a first question from Brian Potts out there who wanted me to touch on the subject of a racing mustache. What does that mean and where does it come from?
This was a surprise to my wife when we were living in Chamonix this summer. She had never seen my face before.
Because you had a beard.
Because I had a beard. I held a beard for, I don't know, it's at least 10 years or something.
I mean, it could have been COVID, I guess,
And it just
with a mask.
no, it was previous. It was
Oh, okay.
like probably at least 5 years prior to that. Yeah, I just needed a change, so I trimmed it down. I have never fully shaved down to the mustache. There's always a little stubble.
What's the fear?
I don't know what that is. Don't do it.
Well, what do you do this particularly for racing, or is it
I have been. I guess. Yeah. Coming back to Brian's question, I guess I kind of forgotten that I've told some people about this. Is like before track meets that I'm coaching, before races, it goes clean, and then right now it's like middle of the road because we just had Rachel's race, so I haven't trimmed in a week or so. So it's getting a little bit. Got the 5 o'clock shadow.
okay? So you did it for Rachel's race, and then you got one coming up too pretty soon.
Yep. So it'll go down again.
Nice. Yeah, we'll talk about that pretty soon. But I'm curious to hear about Madeira Island. But yeah, so learning more about trails since we had Rachel on, I think like I've been able to speak a little bit more on the subject because I've gotten out, done it a little bit, and then done my research and looked around. But something that I wanted to ask her and I didn't in the moment, I wanted to bring it up with you because she said there was a moment in the Black Canyons race where her competitor slipped and fell back, and then Rachel hit the gas. And I thought, like, what is trail etiquette? Because in cycling, like, you'll see, like, oh, well, in the Tour de France, if somebody falls, like, the pack will slow down and wait for them to get back up. What do you do? In this situation, obviously, you don't do that. Is there some kind of etiquette for that? You're just mean. No.
I think there's a point in being opportunistic.
Sure.
I don't think that there are very often moves, like really significant moves that are being made in trail races because everything's happening, so it's very drawn out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 800 meter or 1500 meter race. It's just that everything's happening over 100 miles, so it all is spread out and everything's, elongated. But occasionally there are little moves like that, and like I can think of one when I was racing UTMB where it was a moment where it's like I have to go now, and my competitor was eating something, and I was like I have to make the move now because he's focused on something else and he's not going to expect it.
Did you just throw his nachos away and like, oh, I gotta go get this guy?
No, he took out a gel. Doesn't eat any nachos. We don't eat nachos on a trail.
I mean, I've seen like some of these buffets out there. They look pretty great.
I take that back. We actually do eat nachos, or we eat quesadillas on the trail.
All right.
So yeah, the stations. Yeah, I think the biggest etiquette that I can think of is like if you're on a single track trail, what do you do when you want to pass someone? Can you ask? Should the other person like move over? And I don't know what the answer is to that. I think it depends on like trail runners are extremely nice, maybe like too nice because we don't have like the butting of heads like you're gonna get with like MMA or something. Definitely not to that extent.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you do when you want to honor your competitor but you also want to beat them?
Yeah, I guess maybe ask Des. She's got some pointers too. Like, hey, pal. Like, why don't you move aside a little bit? Good, coming on through. I don't know, something like that. Maybe you could try it. Tap him on the shoulder. But what's worked for you in the past?
I'd usually ask, and then at some point, like try to find a wider piece of trail to make a move on.
Sure, you got to wait for the opportunity to reveal itself.
Exactly.
By the land. Nice. Importance of team is another thing that I wanted to touch on because I know that the crew is very important for, I mean, specifically or especially in the 100 milers. So you've got a team of people that follow you along and different people jumping in to help you along the way. What are the qualities of an ideal crew person?
Well, I always have to give huge credit to one of my best friends, Jordan Carey. He's in the back there. He has traveled to France for me on multiple occasions, gone to every one of my Western States races, and I think you can't find a crew member like that's that good. Like, I'm sorry, you just probably won't. But it's like he cares about it as much or more than I do. And in that way, it's like, you're racing, like we're both racing, even though I'm like doing the legwork and he's doing the like pit crew stuff. Like we're both racing. So
Yeah, I love that about the team there, like buying in and being so dialed, and then you too, your win and you being gracious enough to share that with the team as well. That's amazing to have everybody working together. So do you have like different positions for members of the crew? Is there somebody that handles the food and the water, and then there's somebody who does something else, or is there a foot massager? What's going on?
yeah, it's I personally try to not change pair of shoes. It's a little bit too much time, so no foot massager.
Okay.
But that could be a role depending on your strategy. There's honestly, if you're doing like NASCAR pit stop, it's in and out as quickly as you can. You say, you you do the bottles, you take the garbage out, and you put the gels back into the hydration vest, and you go and you push them out the door. For other races that maybe are a little more involved, you've got people who are doing there's different layers that you can add on to the crewing list. And then there are some races where you're only allowed one crew and they're going to do everything for you.
Oh, just one person.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the most important thing that you need from a crew member?
Detail orientedness, someone who knows you, I think, is probably the key.
And when the going gets tough, what do you want to hear from them too?
I mostly just want to hear that I'm doing good, I'm looking good, attractively. I'm attractive.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't care
No.
about like what I look like running.
Yeah.
But
Do I look good when I do this? Is it? Yeah. That's the kind of thing you're worried about.
I want them to tell me that I'm moving well and that people in front of me aren't looking good. So
Yeah.
I know that they're probably lying at this point. But that's what I want to hear.
That helps. It sounds like my mom would be a great crew member.
She would be really good.
Yeah, very supportive. Well, yeah, you grew up in Portland, and I mean, I love meeting people who were born and raised here. Were you born here?
I was born and raised. Yep.
Born here. What hospital? Man.
Portland Adventist, so other side of 205 or the east side of 205.
Yeah.
Mall 205 area.
Respect.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So you were born and raised here. This is a big running town. When did you discover your love for running, and how did that kind of blossom? Like, because for all of us, and for me in particular, like you find one way in, and then there are many different different parts of running. Like I just discovered the trails.
Yeah. Yeah, for my first cross country race was when I was in the second grade at Gabriel Park. We had
Yeah.
these Portland parks put on a cross country series. We would one week would be at Gabriel Park, the other week would be at Lenson. It just went back and forth, and that kind of became our fall. Like we do that every single year. Me and a couple of my cousins, a few of my cousins would all race together. There was a cross country team at Glencoe Elementary School, which I didn't go to, but I went to Bridger, and I would jump over to the Glencoe practices and run with them. And I don't know if I put a Glencoe shirt on or anything, but I kind of was de facto a part of their team.
Nice.
That was the early days, and then of course you get into high school cross country and track and stuff.
Yeah. Did you have heroes in the community when you were growing up around here?
It's a little bit cliche, but of course Prefontaine. I don't know if you call him a local, but Oregonian. So that was a big one for me. I guess like a couple other people were like Franklin legends from the past. So Dave Davis was the first state champion.
Sure.
For Franklin. Micah Gregonis was another one who was like a district champion in PIL. So I knew those guys' names for when I was growing up and in middle school, and knew that when I would be running for Franklin, like I would be following in their footsteps.
And were you always drawn to the trails, or did that come later?
That came quite a bit later, and it came from like I was a runner and I was a hiker, and I never made the connection that you could do the two together. I don't know why.
Uh-huh. Well, when did that happen?
That was and this is kind of embarrassing, but I'll just own it. Like I don't think I stepped foot on Wildwood trails until I was on Wildwood. I knew Leif, but until I was like 22 or 20, like between 22 and 24.
It's not that embarrassing, Tyler.
But I
That's
was a
still
runner
young.
for so long, and I just hung out on Mount Tabor all the time.
Yeah.
Which I thought was trail running, and I do consider that trail running, but those are a little bit more like paths than full-on trails for the most part. I don't want to get down on Mount Tabor. That's my homeland.
Yeah.
Home volcano.
Yeah, I definitely like Mount Tabor too.
So with Wildwood, I finally was like, I've heard about Wildwood for a while. I'm going to run the entire thing. And that didn't mean running it all at once. I wasn't at that point or anything like that. I would just do out and backs, like started at the zoo, did an out and back, and got 5 miles of the trail done twice. So now I'm seeing it both ways because I'm doing the out and back. And then I'd start at the next spot and keep going until I'd seen the whole thing. And each time I started getting like a little bit longer with each run, because I was enjoying myself out there. And anytime you're on a new trail, like that's exciting as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that was kind of the start of it.
And something, I mean, then now you're fully into it, obviously, and extremely good at this, one of the best in the world. But something that I am drawn to, I guess, by this, coming into the trail world too, is like, you guys do some big efforts, and it seems like a lot of them. And in track, it's more like, I would do a little bit less. Like take a lot of recovery and make sure that you're doing very specific, less, like a little amount of things, especially for 800 training or something like that. You don't want to overdo it. But I saw like stuff that you were doing and was like, oh, I could do a lot more. I mean, I need to work up to it, but you had a big week recently. I mean, I think it was when I asked if you were available to come on the show, and I was texting Rachel, and she's like, yeah, this was in the morning, and she's like, he's out on a long run right now. He'll be back this evening, maybe. And I was like, holy crap. So I had to look it up, but yeah, tell me about that week of training, or the 3-day stretch in particular that you got into.
Yeah, well, the first part is there, and like you work up to it. That's big.
Right,
You said
yeah.
that. And the other part is like I'm not doing the intensity of any 800 runner. Like rarely, like I would never touch that sort of speed. I can't get up to that sort of speed. But these big efforts, like in this case, it was a 3-day cluster of 25 miles, and 18 miles or something, with a lot of vertical gain within all of that. So like,
Yeah, like 10,000 feet in a day.
right,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just out there kind of grinding away, and this is like, you're walking a lot. You're walking a lot. It's trail running, but you're walking a lot, and people need to recognize that. And I just want to like qualify that for myself, that I'm not running the whole thing, because walking is like part of trail running, and it's a skill that you have to develop just as much as you need to develop the skill of running.
So in a race like Western States, I mean, I always knew it as Western States 100, but Western States Endurance.
Either way, it works. We know.
All right, yeah, Western States 100. How much of that are you walking? Are you walking there, or are you not? Or is this just training that you're?
Yeah, and you're walking the uphills. If you're walking flats or downhills, then you're in a bad place probably. Walking maybe anywhere from 5 to 10% of the entire course.
Okay.
And it just depends on the grade. Like as it gets steeper, I know that it's more efficient for me to just walk. Or I shouldn't say walk. It's power hiking.
Yes.
It's different.
Which is also very tough too. That's still hard work. It's not like you're taking a breather or something like power hiking.
True, yeah. And when we think about going up and downhill, you can also think of it kind of as a fartlek, where you're working hard going uphill, but on the downhills you're going to get a little recovery. Aerobically, your muscles are going to be working, but aerobically you're going to get a little bit of recovery. So you have to like kind of, it's not working hard the entire time. I'm going to like get some recovery, I'm going to get some calories in me, and then I'm going to start climbing again.
So with a 3-day stretch like that, where you're going 25 miles and 10,000 feet of climbing roughly over 3 days, each, how often do you do that in a training block?
That'll usually just be like one time before an important race.
Okay.
And roughly you can kind of break down the entire length of the race and try to fit it in within 3 days. For a 100-miler, probably wouldn't quite do that. Maybe like 70 to 80% of the entire course within 3 days. Get some recovery between each one. And the other piece of this is then you recover afterwards, and you come into it recovered as well. So it's sort of a race simulation, because you want that last day to feel like you're in the middle of a 100-miler and you already have 50 miles in your legs, because how else are you going to get there? Mm-hmm. Unless you do the full 100 miles in training, which people just don't do.
Yeah, that seems, a little out there, right?
That's really out there.
You got to keep your powder dry before the big race.
Right.
Yeah, I think something that I also love about this trail running is the types of goals that there are too. It seems like, coming from the track world, it's all very time focused, and there are tons of different tracks out there. There are tracks all over the place, and you just go to these tracks and you try to hit a time. There are very few places that have real meaning to them, I think, where it means something to take a win in that specific place because there's an aura around it. But all of these different destinations, like, it is very specific to win on the Western States course. It's very specific to win at Black Canyons, because they all carry a different feeling, a different smell to them, and only one person can win those each year. So it's not like this person has the fastest time now, but there's one person that has the fastest time throughout the year. So, yeah, I've heard you, or I've read that you've described these things as pilgrimages too. Dive into that a little bit.
I think Western States is kind of the classic, or the one that I put on a pedestal, because it's just so meaningful to me. I mean, Rachel and I went on a road trip when we were dating, and ran on the trails for the first time, and just started like solidifying these really really powerful memories on that trail that first time. And then going back there each year, now 5 years in, with multiple training runs involved in that as well, and running with different people, having different experiences, racing those trails, like, there's just layers and layers and layers of meaning that start to develop on each portion of that trail. And that makes it really hard to like. I I struggle with like. On one side, I want to be an explorer and I want to go to new trails and experience new races and stuff. The other side of me is like, I want to go back to Western States because I just can't get enough of it because it's already so much of part of it's part of our year. It's part of our lives to go back.
Well, it seems like a really emotional experience too for you. How do you deal with that in the race? Do you think about those things? Do you draw on them anyway?
Yeah, absolutely. You draw on those moments and say, oh, that's like any positive reinforcement you can get from some place on the course can be really useful for you performance wise, because it has you in a positive mindset, and I think positivity like can take us really far in these races.
Man, yeah, that's to be able to tie those memories and that experience to a place like that. It seems those are the kinds of things that I love, and also the kinds of things that boost the importance and the meaning of all of these races and these routes for everybody. So even when it comes to taking an FKT at a different spot, you've got the North Nasty. How much does that mean to you that you have the fastest time out there?
That one actually, it's that one was really, really hard.
Well, good.
That was really hard.
Yeah, Geof wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh no, that one was very, very hard. Like, there's not too many efforts that I have that I'm like, oh, I truly, truly had nothing left in that. And yeah, this was during COVID, so I
Okay.
was like looking for a time trial race sort of situation. I had the Strava segment FKT for a little while, and then David Clark broke that record, and then I was
Sure.
like, all right, I gotta get that back. So I I made that kind of a part of my calendar, I guess, because we're looking for things to do. But I was also doing tons of like 3-minute VO2 max, hard intervals, like just like toiling on this climb that I do, that like my training climb. So I was like pretty darn fit on that thing, and then I gave it everything that I had. And there's a very like I'm so glad that no one has gotten that thing, because I don't want to have to go out and get it again. And truly, I can't do it. I don't think I'm gonna go any faster than that. I know there's someone that can, and here's a challenge for anyone. I'll give you a pair of.
I didn't know if you're going to do this.
Oh yeah, we got to do it.
All right.
Yeah, a pair of the Ultra Flies. If anyone can break that segment record, anytime once I see it, I will reach out to you. Once I get the I think it's the
1:18:33.
like 3 minutes, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These
it's
are on
out
the
there. Go
table.
get it.
I like that you're doing this, but I worry a little bit, because not that, I mean, people should go out there and try really hard, but I want it to be somebody who's from here, because I love that you have it and that they're from here. So we all need to do our part now to level up and try and keep this thing here.
And if there's one climb within Portland that is the like most coveted just single climb, it's big pain in the ass. It's BPA.
It's BPA. Uh-huh.
And a Portlander does not have that climb right now.
Who does?
Jim Walmsley.
Oh, Walmsley.
He just waltzes
Oh.
in here. So someone has to go get that.
Somebody has to rescue it.
Yes, bring it back.
It's in his clutches. Gosh. Yeah, so anybody who breaks it. Wait, what's the time length on this? So how long are you giving them for? What's the deadline?
Yeah, within the year.
Within the year. All right.
And
So
the trails, it's drying up right now, so now it's starting to get. We got a good window right now.
yeah, April 17th, 2025. We'll check back in.
You have to run that thing like it's a fartlek. You go super hard for each climb. You kind of go all out for each climb, and then you recover on the downs, and then you go all out again. And then once you get to Skyline, then you can kind of get into more of like a tempo threshold sort of effort and kind of ride it home. So I think like if you can think of the finish is up on the top of Skyline.
Yeah. Well,
Well, kind of.
don't just tell everybody how to do it. Like, that was all wrong information, by the way.
Not.
Yeah.
I'm just misleading everybody.
Yeah. Well, you've got a race coming up in a few days now, or next week.
Yeah,
is it?
week and a half.
Week and a half from now, Madeira Island. So that's off the coast of Portugal. What are you gonna be doing out there?
So this is a 115 kilometer race, 70 some miles, and I think it's like 23,000 feet of elevation gain. So it's a big mountainous race. It crosses over the island, so it's got a really cool like aesthetic, like Strava. Like check my Strava once it's done. Hopefully, if get it done, because it'll just look really cool going over the island. Yeah, so we're going out there, leaving on Tuesday, trying to sleep as much as I can because the race starts at midnight on Friday.
Okay. So we'll be watching that. Is there a live stream for that we can check
I
into?
don't know if there's a live stream or not.
Okay.
They're getting Trail's getting better at that, so there could be.
Yeah. Well, we'll check in on live results anyway. But so you got that, and then is that the only one before Western States?
Yeah, then and this is fairly unconventional approach to Western States. Most people are just like all Western States right now. I just wanted to do something a little bit different, and I think that being strong as a climber is pretty useful on Western States, even though it requires some speed as well. So I'll just work on the climbing right now, finish up Madeira, and then hopefully get recovered and get into Western States training.
Yeah, and then you and Rachel both tackle Western States together this year for the first time.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is very cool. Yeah, and then, one thing that I love that I heard you dig into also is no regrets when you're out there on the trail. Yeah, explain a little bit about where that comes from and how you dig in.
Yeah, there are times in races when I've recognized I've gotten a little bit soft, and like there was a couple years ago I was chasing third place at Western States and just couldn't quite get him, and I can think of places back in the course where maybe that extra 30 seconds or so could have been found. So no regrets is like to look back at those places and do what I can with the moment that I have to put myself in the best position to finish as best I can as well. It's all about being in the moment.
It's a lot of time to be in the moment out there, over 100 miles, but I think it's definitely an inspiration to all of us, and definitely inspired me over the past couple months watching you and just looking at your Strava, pulling that up and seeing like, oh yeah, Tyler's getting after it. I could do something. I could get off my butt. All right, we got a few questions before we leave. Just a quick round here. What do you call it? Lightning round. Yeah, let's do it. Favorite trail in Portland?
Maple.
Okay.
Forest Park, just flowy. It kind of goes down and then it comes back up, like every trail, I guess.
Check it out.
Yeah, it's a fun one. And there's like one log that you have to jump on and run on the log and then jump off the log.
Okay.
So look for that. It's like it parallels the trail.
Nice. Favorite trail within 50 miles of Portland?
Are we at Mount Hood by then? We're getting close to it.
Well, it's just included, I guess.
Yeah, Timberline Trail is a love of my life.
All right.
Not Rachel.
Yeah. And you've had the FKT there too, right?
I do, yes.
Yeah. Favorite trail in the world?
Timberline Trail.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And post-race meal when the stomach comes back.
This is a big hack of mine or trick of mine, but you order a pizza, you put it on the bedstand, and you go to sleep, and anytime you wake up and you're feeling hungry, you eat some more pizza.
That's great. I love that. All right. Well, that's it. Do you have any questions for me before we go?
How many Nasties are you up to now?
That's a good question. I've done 2. So I've done the North Nasty and the Alphabet Nasty.
Cool. All right, get them all.
Yeah, I need to get them all. I'll do it. The flaming nasty and the south nasty look a little more confusing, so I need to figure it out. But I'll get there. Okay, well that's it for the show tonight. Thank you very much for joining us,
Thank
Tyler.
you. Thanks, Geof.
Tyler Green, everybody. And thank you to Great Notion, Nike Trail, Morton, Starting Lines, of course. Check out the show. Geof Donovan, Larry Stevens, thank you very much. And the whole Tracklandia crew. Tyler, we're going to have you sign the desk here. Thanks for joining us. All right, stick around. We're going to do the raffle. Okay.